Kevin Durant's next destination seems to be a public secret in the NBA world, and after the latest bombshell from a leaked photo from the Spurs locker room, it seems like we're going to enter some turbulent period ahead of us. The Suns are ready to move on from Kevin, but what can they land in exchange? And more importantly, can Kevin help the Spurs to the first championship after the legendary Ginobili-Parker-Duncan era? It's as clear as the sky. The Durant is on the move, and there are not many teams that can afford his services. And now that we've heard from pretty much the entire league, a very interesting picture emerged from the Spurs locker room, a jersey of Durant. Of course, it is yet to be confirmed whether the picture is a legitimate one, but if anything, it shows that a trade is much closer than we could anticipate. The Suns are approaching a full-on rebuild around Devin Booker, whereas the Spurs are going for a win-now situation after landing the number 2 pick and having extreme talent like De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Wemby. The fact that Wembanyama views Durant as his idol is also pushing the front office of the Spurs to make some moves sooner rather than later, which means they are ready to sacrifice some of their future in order to fight for the championship sooner rather than later. But what are they going to give up for Kevin? At the end of the day, we need to be aware that the Suns view Durant as a failed experiment, and he might not fit nearly as well as we think in the current roster of San Antonio. But the writings are on the wall, and with Sochan likely gone from the team in this trade, the Suns are going to be looking for some other rotational pieces and draft picks as well. The number 2 pick is well protected, but we can't say the same for number 14 in this year's draft, and we can't say the same for the following year's first rounders from the Spurs. To what extent they're ready to go, time will tell, but the fact that the Suns gave away 5 picks for Durant and Mikal Bridges goes to show that they are expecting to receive at least half of that back in their rebuild process. Unfortunately, they can't trade Beal because of the no trade clause that the former Wizards star managed to secure, and that makes the entire situation a bit more difficult on the Suns' asking side. Nevertheless, the Spurs are going to enter a championship tier immediately because they already have a very strong core to work around. Not only that, but the San Antonio team is considered to be one of the preferences that Durant has on his mind. At the age of 36, many have started to question his contribution on both ends of the court, but if we are to look at his numbers, they tell another story. Durant averaged 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game in the previous season. Yes, the Suns did miss the playoffs and faced early exits since his arrival back in 2023 after making the finals in 2022 against the Bucks. But after all, you can't blame it solely on Durant. He will have a legitimate chance to redeem himself in San Antonio. And what's even more important is that even Chris Paul is now thinking about a potential continuation of his deal with the Spurs if Durant comes along. Therefore, with the veteran presence of Paul and Durant combined with the explosiveness of Fox, Wemby, and Castle, who was the Rookie of the Year last season, I doubt the Spurs will be taken as a joke. And according to Jake Fisher, we're literally moments away from the biggest blockbuster trade in the following offseason. Elaborating further on this, the Bleacher Report journalist wrote, "Everyone around the Kevin Durant situation around Phoenix is talking about a Kevin Durant trade as a foregone conclusion. That trading Kevin Durant was spoken about to various candidates in the Suns' lengthy head coaching search process. That trading him was going to be basically a matter of fact and not a matter of if, but a matter of when." It's not just Fisher who believes that this deal is done, and we're waiting for the announcement only. Bill Simmons shares the same belief as well. According to Simmons, the Spurs have a lot to gain from this trade, and elaborating further on this, Bill explained how the Giannis trade should be dropped if San Antonio has the opportunity to bring Durant, who will come at a much cheaper price, further stating, "I wouldn't be surprised if KD to the Spurs is done already, and they just haven't announced it. Basically, they've agreed on specifics. Just announce it the week of the draft." This goes back to the Giannis thing. I think they trade for KD because it just costs less. They'll be able to be really competitive and maybe go a couple of rounds in the playoffs, but they are also going to keep the number 2 pick and do it that way, which is my prediction. But after all, we're talking about Kevin Durant here. Let's not act like there aren't tons of other teams interested in his services, despite the Spurs having the best opportunity to land him. Let's start with the Knicks. After the latest departure of their head coach Tom Thibodeau, it seems like the team is in desperate need of a veteran like Kevin. Furthermore, they've proven they can reach the conference finals, and they need the last puzzle in order to push towards the first championship after a long period of time. Who will be the sacrifice from the Knicks if they decide to pursue Kevin Durant? It's true that the veteran might want to play in such a big market, but at the end of the day, there's a price that needs to be paid, and I doubt that there is a name sounding as attractive as Karl-Anthony Towns. The Suns will definitely want the presence of a big man in Cat, and now that he's set to earn $53.1 million, that will rise to $61 million in 2027/28. The Suns will land a great piece to help Booker. It's not Ayton, but considering the fact that KT's shooting is much better than DeAndre's, it will fit with the change of philosophy they have. Elaborating further on this, Brian Windhorst said, "The way the Knicks get this done is Karl-Anthony Towns. It has to do with the trade rules. It has to do with stuff like that. The Knicks would have to trade 3 rotation players otherwise. Just keep that in mind when you dream of your Knicks trades." Given the fact that the Knicks relied heavily on their rotational pieces in the previous playoff push, I highly doubt they are willing to give up as many as 3 players for Durant, who, although playing prime basketball, needs to accept that his career is reaching decline much faster than an uprise. The fact that he is still playing basketball at the level he does after the ACL tear during 2019's finals goes to show the tenacity he'll bring to an NBA team is not to be joked with. Apart from the Knicks, it seems like the Heat have joined the battle as well, but what can the Eastern Conference competitor offer for the services of Durant, now that they don't have Jimmy Butler and are expected to continue the collaboration with Tyler Herro? There is more than enough place for Kevin to thrive in that environment. Back in February, the Heat tried to trade for Durant, but the Suns rejected the offer. According to sources close to the Heat, the offer revolved around Butler, Josh Richardson, a first-round pick, and potentially another component. But now that they don't have Butler to offer, it would be interesting to see what would be the filler for this massive gap. Be that as it may, Durant is on the move, and we're eager to see which team he is going to choose. Just because the Spurs are not considered a top market team doesn't mean their chances are low. At this stage of his career, maybe Durant would want to work with young talents and teach them the core of basketball as much as he can. Being a 15-time All-Star player does come with its own perks, and if you add the 2 championships and 2 Finals MVP awards, then the price for Durant might be fair. With all this in mind, which team do you think would suit Durant the best? And more importantly, if he lands in the Spurs, do you think it turns San Antonio into a championship-winning city? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.